Welcome everyone back to another episode of Dragon Heist, this wondrous tale of urban adventure that will be streaming right here on Javelin Entertainment every Tuesday starting at 6 p.m. Central. If you missed Chapter 6 or, actually I think Chapter 7 is now, since this will be number 8. But regardless, if you missed the last session, you can find it on the channel page or by clicking the playlist link in the description. Last time, our adventurers returned to Trollskull Alley and paid a visit to Rishaal at the Bookworm's treasure, trying to identify their magical items. They were able to find that Ezra had some sort of cursed ring known as the Ring of Contrast that inverted her natural abilities. Durizen was given a 50-50 enhancement that could be used on a magical item and would either enhance its enchantment or remove it entirely. N'dari's seeds were revealed to conjure carnivorous plants whenever thrown into rock or dirt, and Pats also fell to his curiosity and purchased a waterskin. Deciding to taste the water, found it motivated him to make bad decisions, resulting in him planting one of his beans below the booth. The beans quickly grew into 6 large eggs, which launched the party into an escapade across the city to find a zoologist who could help identify what the eggs were. In the process, Pat sold 2 of the eggs to a random dwarf. Ezra got to pet a hippogriff in the Guild Paddock, and Pats agreed to sell another 2 eggs to a gnome at the old monster shop. The party also received a flyer for something known as the Sea Maiden's Faire, and decided to check it out. After purchasing some tasty exotic snacks and a few exotic items from the vendors out front, they were invited to meet one of the captains aboard the Eyecatcher, moored within the bay. They rowed out to the ship, and a woman in a long red dress asked to move an illusion over N'dari and Durizen so that their appearance didn't make a scene with the sailors. She then took them into a large, exquisite cabin where they met an ostentatious and vibrant individual known as Zardoz Zord, who took a bit of interest in N'dari and even happened to know her full name. He said he wanted to get to know them, but gave hints that he may have something more in mind. The party quickly excused themselves, eager to get away from the odd individual, and they are now rowing slowly back towards the exotic performers, sure to be within the Hellraisers. So, as you all approach, moving in this rowboat back to the docks outside of the city, you can see in the distance the Eyecatcher behind you, but this ship is now a good mile or so away, and you all are quickly approaching the other 2 ships moored within the docks of the city, and you can see that there are indeed multiple tents of various colors set up, individuals in crazy costumes, and all sorts of patrons that approach. As the rowboat hits the docks, you all are brought back out by the sailors and find yourselves on the edge of this carnival or circus or fair. What would you all like to do?
Thank God, land.
What, you don't like the open water?
It's more like I don't like the residents of said open water.
I take offense to that.
Oh no, not you, just a certain resident.
Some, not all.
Was it that double Z guy that we met? Didn't like him?
He
Was it you?
Interesting.
Yes, he was very interesting. I have not decided if I like him or not.
He seemed like the usual sort for that sort of thing.
I still don't understand how he knew my full name.
That was quite odd.
I bet he's a man who's got his fingers in a lot of different pies.
Ugh.
Ugh.
That's just unsanitary. Don't ever say that again. I do take offense to that too.
Well, maybe we can still find some fun.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I
I'm
want
sure
to check
this
out first.
business here's got something interesting. The food's at least been good so far. And his wine's good.
They somehow made eyeballs tolerable, so I'd agree.
Hey, you haven't had my mini beholder eyeball yet. Just needs a couple more days of pickling, then it'll be good. I'll let you have a bite.
That's true.
Oh boy.
Well, I think we were planning to go see this show, weren't we?
Yeah,
with
on
all
the
the animals that came from the monster menagerie or wherever we were earlier.
That's right. This big old red ship, the Hellraiser. Sounds exciting.
Yeah, we should probably get over there so we can get a good seats.
As you guys kind of are glancing in the direction, it's not so much a single area. It's nothing like a theater or even a tent, but rather a series of sections that are both on the ship and also spilling onto the docks in front of it. Where your small rowboat has kind of hit is in the center of a wide T dock, and on the left side you see the pinkish ship that was referred to as the Heartrender, and the right is the bright, vibrant reds of the Hellraiser. And you can also see what looks to be large, brightly colored signs that are extravagant in title. You see things such as the Grand Water Circus, the Great Raymond and Company, the Spider Lady, Ruby Weston, Champion in Equestrian, Princess Valerie, Blood of Snakes, and goes on and on as dozens and dozens of these small little tents or performance areas seem to be set up around this dock and around these ships. It doesn't seem to be a single venue, but rather multiple.
Well, I see a lot of things with animals in the name, or relating to animals.
I don't even know where to start. Everything looks interesting.
What do you suppose a spider lady is?
A lady with spiders?
But
Who knows? Maybe we should check it out.
Isn't that what you drow are all about? I heard that once. Y'all like spiders?
Don't know. I didn't assume that I like them any more than most people. She winks
I
at
knew
you.
this Siegfried was full of shit. Oh, let's go see the spider lady.
yeah, let's see what she's about.
All right, yeah, we gotta start somewhere. Let's go pay the spider lady a visit.
As you begin to head in kind of the direction of one of those first booths that you had seen, you do see that there seem to be carnies, individuals dressed with miscellaneous face paint, their hair dyed and styled in different directions, that seem to be handing out different pamphlets. And you also see various, in between the large booths, there are various other sideshow performers that are in the middle of all variety of carnival and freak show acts. But you are all handed a pamphlet as you do enter that does list out many of the headliners around you, and with a small kind of diagram showing you where they are. And so as you are shown to this and kind of begin to make your way towards the tent of what apparently is referred to as the Spider Lady, this large black dome tent that has a webbed pattern of silver coming down it, the line out of it just as long as many of the others. It seems that these has gathered quite the attention from many of the people around, both within the city, and you see others that appear to be travelers here for the fair itself. But as you begin to enter, there do seem to be kind of small, almost bleachers set up around the outside in a half circle on the front side of this tent, and they begin to pull in people of up to a certain point. As you sit with maybe 4 or 5 dozen other individuals in the tent, and the lights begin to go down as you all watch with bated breath to see what this show is all about. As the lights dim, the shadows grow. Smoke and mist begin to billow around you. From the darkness, a shadow slowly starts to emerge. There are whispers from patrons around you. You see some children down on the front row, eyes kind of glued and open wide. Their parents kind of cautious behind them. You see other individuals who are shaking from anticipation and slight fear. Is there anything in particular that you all are doing as you wait?
I am simply giddy with excitement.
Yeah, Ezra's kind of like either holding her hands like close together, kind of like, rubbing them a little bit, like, ooh, like with anticipation.
Durizen's just really curious as to what a spider lady is and what that entails.
Definitely looking around at the scenery and just taking it in.
As you all watch and observe, kind of trying to take it in, you can see now as your eyes start to adjust to the darkness, some quicker than others. But it seems that this environment has been made to have just enough light to capture what seems to be small reflections, small lines crisscrossing across the back of this tent. What look to be small silvery webs. You see some in the corners that are close, and as your eyes begin to adjust further, you start to see further depths, larger webs that grow and grow, and a single outline of a woman. Just her upper torso, hands, and head. She seems to be standing in the shadows. You all watch and look, and just as your eyes start to fully adjust to where you can make out the shape further, suddenly there's a light behind her that illuminates, and you see the shadow larger as the lower half suddenly becomes evident. You watch as a bulbous form appears from underneath her, and the legs begin to spread out from underneath what you now see as the bottom half of a spider. As this entity steps forward, crawling forth from beneath the webs that surround her, you see indeed that she does appear to be half spider and half woman. Her stark white skin almost merging with the blackness of the body below it, and what look like tar stretching up across her chest. Inky black hair lays down across her face, covering most of it, but you can see just the glint of red eyes underneath. And as she slowly approaches out into the center of the tent, you watch as the kids begin to pull back. Others around you begin to kind of take a breath, a gasp of air in response to seeing this creature emerge. And yet their eyes, they can't seem to pull them away. There's something hypnotic about the show, the performance. As you see now, the legs begin to move up around into the webs, her torso staying stationary. As this body moves around, it is an entrancing act. The red glow from beneath the hair just locking, seeming to stare through you. As some music echoes through and whispers begin to purse through the crowd. You hear as a voice calls out, "Welcome. Welcome to my home. I hope that you all can find a place of dark reclusion here. A sight of something otherworldly to break your day from monotony, from something dull into that of extravagant wonder. I am the Spider Lady, Madame of Webs, Weaver of silken string. And tonight you all observe what few in this world have seen. Now, would anyone like to volunteer for a example? A hush
Ooh, ooh,
begins.
ooh, me.
A hush begins to kind of fall over the crowd as Pat suddenly just begins to stand and hop up, kind of reaching his hand up into the air. You see a few others who kind of cautiously raise their hands around, but her eyes immediately lock on to the loud goblin. Her voice reaches out once again. Well, seems we have one eager to join. Please come down. And as she extends out a long, pale white hand in your direction, Pats, you do see as two other individuals begin to come up next to you. These what almost look like women with these gold and green outfits. You can see blades at their side and what looks like a skull across their face. They seem to be some sort of security or perhaps workers, but they come down and begin to escort you by the hand down into the central ring. And you slowly kind of step forward. Seeing this woman closer, you can now see that she is much larger than you had first anticipated, extending up 8 or 9 feet into the air. When standing straight, she leans down somewhat, and you can just catch the edge of dark black lips underneath the hair as she whispers to you, "And what is your name?"
Pats. You can call me Pats.
Pats. Well, thank you for your eager volunteerment. Tell me, do you have any medical conditions, Pats?
Not that I know of.
Wonderful. And do you have any aversion to needles?
I don't like wasp stings. That's basically a needle sting, right?
Somewhat. Oh, then please, over here. And as she kind of pulls her white hand, all of you watch as there's a bit of sparkle, red energy from her hand. And Pat's, your eyes kind of drift up to her as you all watch. And Pat, suddenly there is just a sharp pain, just brief, in your side. And you kind of look down. As you look, you see nothing there, but you kind of instinctively reach a hand, kind of looking around now. The rest of you still focused on the magic emanating out of her hand. Pats, you kind of stumble for a moment and her arms catch you, kind of lift you up. Well, now, Pats, you are experiencing a sense of disembodiment that will soon pass. But first, you will become a piece of art for the rest to enjoy, and for you to experience something truly unique. And Pats, there's a numbness that begins to come over your body as your limbs fall limp to your side, and she begins to lift you up, and you all watch now as the silk extends out from the back of her, catching onto the webs to the side. She moves in a whirlwind, spinning around, dodging from point to point as Pats is suddenly suspended in the center, almost as if in the center of a star of these silver-like webs. And she still continues to move, tying, spinning, weaving, and after you all watch this entrancing performance, soon you see that Pats herself is in the center of a vibrant display of what is some sort of art, as if crocheted from fine silk faster than any tailor's hands could move. You see as what appears now is almost a solid mural of this white, silver, and black silk. And you can see at the center, you still see Pat's body suspended, kind of lifted there. Pats, you now feel a tingling sensation across the edge where these lines of silk attach to your skin and to your fur. But you almost feel like you're watching your own body. This sense that you are pulled from your own mental capacity and are observing from somewhere else. It is a truly out-of-body experience. But as you all start to see this design coming together, you see that it is somehow Pat's face, with him in the center of the forehead and the entire center of this tent, this room, now showing a mural of his face. And as it comes together and she stands before and begins to move and sway, there is suddenly a clapping that begins to evoke out, a cheering, a whistling, as the crowd sees this come to its finale. And as she begins to take a slight bow, she extends a hand up. And Pets, you can barely feel a tingle, even though you see her fully grasp your hand. She reaches it up your hand, up your arm, and towards your back, and begins to pull you free. You're not sure how, but you just float effortlessly free of the silk that held you tightly. And as you come into her arms and she places you down, there's a almost snapping as your mind comes back into your body and you shake your head slightly. It wasn't painful, but it was certainly odd. And as she looks out towards the crowd, can everyone please give Pats a warm applause? Thanks for his participation. And the crowd begins to holler and clap as Pats, you are escorted and kind of wander back to your place within the crowd. She makes her way back towards the edge and with a quick movement of her legs cuts free the edges of the web itself as it begins to fall and spin around, almost entrapping her as if in a cocoon. And then it just seems to simmer and burn into these bright red ashes before disappearing. And she is no longer there. The crowd roars with applause and with cheering as you all begin to be escorted out as the performance has ended.
So, Pat, what was that
Guys.
like?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing from our end. How was it on yours?
I don't know. Watching myself in the center of all those webs, but I don't know where I was watching myself from.
You saw
That was-
yourself?
Yeah, it was like an out-of-body experience. I heard of that once. My brother, he ate a mushroom that gave him told me it was like that, but I thought he was crazy. Maybe I need to find some of those more mushrooms. Would definitely recommend Spider Lady. I like her.
Alright, and as you all begin to follow the rest of the crowd out into the streets, or back onto the docks, you find yourself once again in the center of the carnival. Loud noises and vendors. And you can see a woman next to you all. Bright purple dress with a purple fan extended across her face. You see what looks to be a jester of some sort with bright blue hair pulled into 3 pieces, each dangling a bronze bell. His face painted white with black over the eyes, a large smile across his face as he dances around, small firecrackers going off around him. And still others, citizens, passing beside you, all eager to see the different venues. So, what would you all like to do?
Gosh, there's so many names on this piece of paper.
Ezra, didn't you want to see all the animals?
I did. I'm looking at the words balloon horse. I like both
I
of those
hadn't even
things.
seen that. What? Where does it say balloon horse on this
But what
thing?
about the menagerie or blood of snakes or
Hang on, the menagerie. Where
Yeah,
are
that's
you
one.
seeing that, Pat?
It's right here
two
above the
above
Field of
balloon
Dreams.
horse.
Oh,
Oh, there's the balloon horse.
well, that sounds like more animals than just one balloon horse. So I'm all for that.
So you're all trying to make your way towards the
Good.
menagerie?
Check it out.
Yeah, I believe so. Next, we're gonna go see
Yeah,
all the
nothing on
critters.
here screams kitchen to me, so I'm good to go wherever you guys want to go.
All right, the menagerie of animals. Let's go. Many animals.
Oh,
Alright. As you all begin to head towards one end of the dock where you see a bright sign indicating the menagerie. You can see various different beasts and creatures depicted across the sign. As you're reaching there, you see a small booth of red with an individual in a red gown, tall red hat, and the bottom of his face painted white with a bright red nose. And behind him, in this small booth, shaped with strange symbology across the top and an odd green face on the front, you see multiple masks. You see a white one that appears to be almost like a skeleton. You see that of a furry creature, another black one with a long nose, one humanoid with a mustache and long hair, a red hat, one that looks like a bulldog, one that looks like a devil, multiple different of these masks, and you see a few people purchasing it from him. But as you continue on, you do eventually find your way to the long line of individuals awaiting this menagerie. As you can begin to head in, this one, not so much a tent, but still similar seating. These large, almost bleachers that are set up. You all begin to head in past the sign, finding your seat, and this one, as opposed to the spider lady that was small and intimate, this one is large, with hundreds of individuals seated around you. You see a large open pit in the center with walls that are a good 4 or 5 feet tall before the beginning of the bleachers extend, rising up. And you all find your seat, making your way through the crowd to find somewhere to sit, and it is tightly packed. There are individuals sitting with all sorts of different snacks from the vendors that you had passed by earlier and waiting in anticipation. You all watch as the lights once again begin to focus. Out here, the darkness of the night is most of what you see, but these, what almost appear to be spotlights, as if directed from some sort of pinpoint lanterns, now begin to point at a position in the center of this pit where there's a large red and white pedestal. And as you wait and watch, you see that up steps a very particular individual. It's difficult at first to tell whether they are male or female. You see a top hat, a large staff, but their facial features are painted almost as if skeletal. They appear to be feminine, as you now see skin that wasn't quite evident before because it is tattooed from head to toe with various colorful images, and only a few strips of cloth across their chest, a vest, and a small piece of cloth across their waist. As they step forward, the crowd begins to hush, and their voice rings out. My name is Fatima, the captain of the Hellraiser. I welcome you all to tonight's festivities. The menagerie is one of our most proud points. I hope you will enjoy the many sights that are to be seen. But please, for your safety, do stay on the outside of the walls. These creatures are dangerous, and while our handlers are well and truly trained, there is still a danger innate. But please, sit back and enjoy the menagerie. She steps back into mist and smoke that dissolves around as the lights begin to scatter, refracting the light back across the crowd. Everyone waits in anticipation, eyes lighting up. You all kind of scoot to the edge of your seat as you watch and wait and observe. Suddenly there's a spark of fire from one end as sparks begin to spew up out of the smoke. You see what looks like a roar of fire. From the other side, there is this cold white smoke that billows out, and another roar, but this time what almost seems to be an icy wind that just gasps, and you all can feel at first the heat of the inferno, and then the cold of a winter chill. As these two roars emanate out, the smoke begins to die down, and you now see two beasts stalking around each other, both on opposite sides of the ring and circling. You see as a few individuals begin to come in next to them, one next to the entity of fire and one next to the entity of ice. Looking closer, this entity of fire is a wolf or dog-like creature, but skeletal towards the back and larger, full, engorged at the front. A black, midnight-colored, tight and short-furred creature with this blazing orange that can be seen coming out of its open maw with long fangs and dark orangey red eyes. It seems as if some sort of elven figure stands next to it, almost guiding it, but there's still a ferocity about the creature that comes up well to its waist and even slightly higher. That is just intimidating. On the other side, you see a dwarven individual who is guiding this massive white wolf with spikes of ice that protrude out from its back. The wolf is almost double the dwarf's height, even taller than the fiery dog on the other side, but lithe. As you can see its white, glistening teeth. You see as the drips of water from its maw turn to ice as they fall and sink into the sand. These two creatures stalk across each other as their trainers seem to guide them, and upon commands they breathe out these breaths of fire and of ice kind of up against the edge of the crowd. You can feel the different temperatures changing around you as you see the sparks of these two elemental breaths. And then on commands they turn towards each other and roar as they gallop across the center and begin to leap up towards one another, almost as if in combat or battle, blasting their breath back and forth. The fire meets the ice, melting, turning to water, and landing in the center, forming a small pool. They dance in some sort of combat and rhythmic training montage as this encounter begins to play out before they eventually wander off to the edges. Followed closely, there is this wavering on the smoky edges, like an illusion coming into focus. You see as the shadows themselves seem to coalesce into a panther-like creature with dark, fierce eyes of emerald green. that gaze into the crowd like that of a predator, and as it steps forward, you suddenly see 2 extra limbs from it, and 2 tentacle-like appendages across its back as these large, cat-like creatures begin to step out. You see once again more trainers next to them. There's 2, 3, 4 of these creatures that begin to circle across, weaving their way. But looking at them, it's difficult to focus. They seem to shimmer and shake in place, almost as if there are multiple of them that have been layered over each other, forming some sort of distorted view as each of these predators just stalk out, moving up to the edge of the walls where they stand up on their back legs and roar, all 4 of their forearms just up in the air, the tentacles above. They stand at least 8 feet tall on their own, and with their appendages out like this, it is a wide display of intoxicating ferocity. As these beasts, these displacer beasts, begin to fade back into the shadows, the next creatures that are brought out are large bears. Not entirely uncommon, but in acts that are completely foreign. They seem to be standing on large balls of various colors on their hind legs, arms outstretched with hats upon their head. They begin to roll around on these balls, and the crowd begins to laugh and lighten from the mood of the ferocity before, as these creatures, tall and imposing, are now comedic as they dance and roll around at the command of these trainers around them. You then see, as the lights die down once again, and you all look up, as suddenly there are lights from above. But there was no roof on this place, but yet you look up and you see a solid orange glow encompassing the entire pit and audience area. And just as you look up, the ceiling seems to break apart as these large beetle-like creatures begin to fall from their wiry posts that they were upon, down, descending into the pits at the command of the trainers. It is almost like the sky is raining this fire. As these burning beetles depart and sink into the ground, the crowd oohs and ahs. And finally, the star of the show is paraded out. You see the dwarf from before leading out a stallion of pure white. And upon its head you see a curled horn pointing out. Everyone gazes in wonder as a unicorn is slowly paraded around the edge of the pit. And people just silent at this sight, this rumor, this legend. And Pats, you can't help but think that there is something familiar about this dwarf. This trainer that you have now seen a few times. There's something about him that you just can't quite place. But regardless, as the unicorn is pulled back in behind the mist and smoke, and the audience's applause and cheering eventually dies down, the lights dim, and once again the gates open, allowing you all to disperse.
You
Well,
believe that? Did you
I'd
see all
say
of that?
that's one
There
of the
was
most amazing
six-legged
things I've
panthers
seen.
and fire dogs and ice dogs, and it was raining beetles. And there was a unicorn! Oh my god! Wow. I'd watch that show again. I'd watch that show every day.
Yeah, that unicorn was cool, but do you guys recognize that dwarf trainer?
Dwarf.
Tickled
Dwarf.
my brain. Like, I think I seen him somewhere.
He wasn't that guy you sold eggs to, was it?
Was it?
I don't know.
As
I
Ezra
need to
kind of
roll
speaks
that?
this, you're just like, that's it! And you realize that this was the same dwarf that you had met in the market, who had purchased those 2 large eggs from you.
Well, in that case, I would like to go talk to him. If I can find him.
All right. How are you trying to do that? So you're currently on the edge of one of these docks where a large kind of pit and enclosure has been made, but you kind of looking across, you see at least where you think the back portion of this would be, where these animals are probably kept, but it does appear that there are those same security-like guards that you have seen. These women who have these tattooed arms, the gold and green entourage that they seem to wear, and the skulls affixed to their face.
On second thought, I'm not gonna go search him out. I don't think Pat would do that right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think I'll find him another time.
All right. Is anyone else
But
doing anything?
This goes where I think it's going.
I'll give a light wave to the security.
As you all are kind of sitting there talking back and forth, there's a voice that kind of reaches you, sultry and seductive. Did you all enjoy the show? As you glance to see the source of it, you see a woman. Appears to be a half-elf or elf with the pointed ears and long, light purple hair, fair skin, a bright white dress, and around her sits these 3 black cats. Large, almost like mountain lions or small panthers. They seem to be curled around her, one laying on her lap, and each one with the same golden band around its neck and a sharp pink jewel at its center.
Well, I think you need to talk to this one. in
Are
regards
your
to how much
cats
he
friendly?
enjoyed it.
As Ezra's like grinning ear to ear.
They can be friend or foe. Depends on who you are. They sense aggression or fear. If you have neither, then you can approach.
All right, I'll take that bet. And she, just not cautiously, but, confidently but calmly approaches the cats.
With excitement.
Yeah, a very, very noticeable undertone of excitement.
Do you like cats, I assume?
I just love animals in general.
Well, they seem to like you. And the one kind of closest, as you kind of reach to pet its head, kind of nuzzles into your hand, Ezra. My name is Helene. May I ask yours?
I'm Ezra, and she kind of... And this is... She introduces everybody else, or if everybody else wants to introduce themselves.
N'dari will give a polite wave as she's being introduced, but actually stay back after she feels a little shaking Cosmo under her cloak at these giant
Oh no!
Well, it is lovely to meet you all. These, of course, this is Sikan, Rishaal, and Entas. They are my family.
Well, they're wonderful and magnificent. They're beautiful cats.
Thank you. I raised them since they were cubs. They are quite talented, but we've become a bit older through the years, and now I prefer softer lights than that of the grand stage. And you can see, Ezra, that most of these cats, their fur around their mouth has started to gray and even whiten. And despite their predatory appearance and their strong limbs, you do see that these are quite old cats.
We love old kitties. And do you not perform anymore, or is that behind you?
We do some performances. Ours are much smaller than those on the grand stage of the menagerie, but these cats do know a few tricks, if you would like to see them.
Well, I certainly wouldn't mind. And she kind of like looks back at the group and like grins real wide as like a question, like, please?
Very
Oh.
enthusiastic. 2 thumbs up.
I'm not going to
from
stop you
Pats.
from having fun.
Could never say no to that face.
You all watch as she begins to kind of stand back as the cats, now all rising from semi-states of slumber or relaxation, all eagerly waiting and watching her. She raises a hand, and with a quick movement, a flick of her wrist, the cats begin to hop one over another in this smooth rolling pattern, before another movement causes them to stand, kind of rear back, and stack on top of each other as the 3 kind of form into one tall tower that begins to swirl as they jump and climb down, spinning up. And then she kind of pulls out a small ball, and kind of with a spin, it begins to give a slight glow, and she tosses it towards one of them, who kind of rolls it off of the tip of its nose across its head and flicks it in the direction of another that catches it across its spine and pulls it forward up into its paw, batting it up into the air, into its jaws. It begins to toss it towards the third, which kind of spins and pulls its tail into a small, tightly wound ball or basket, and catches the ball and kind of slowly spins it across the ground, sending it flying across the stone like a top back to rest at the feet of Helene. And she kicks it back up to herself and gives a slight bow, and each of the cats steps forward and kind of inclines its head toward the ground, each giving their own small curtsy or bow.
Durizen will
very, very enthusiastically clapping.
And she gives a slight laugh. I'm so glad you could enjoy. Please do continue to enjoy the rest of the fair. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you, Miss Helene. That was very, very exciting. I loved it. And she'll kind of, I guess, wave and bid her goodbye and turn to the rest of the group. All right, what's next?
Well, does anybody have anywhere in particular they want to go?
Well, I just saw 2 animal things, so I think somebody else should pick.
Well, there is a magician listed on here.
Ooh. N'dari,
I
maybe
could
you
learn
could
a
teach
thing
him.
or two.
Oh, I was gonna say maybe you could teach him a thing or two.
You know, I like the way you think better. She winks at Ezra and smiles as after we start walking away from the cats, Cosmo will come back up on my shoulder.
It's safe.
Austin, about how late in the evening is it getting now?
Yeah, I
It
meant to
is
ask that earlier.
quite late. The sun has gone down a while ago. I'd say by now it is 10:30. But the fair around you is still very alive with hundreds and hundreds of different citizens.
You know,
Okay.
there is one other area that I am interested in. Of course, the magician, but the seer of sorts.
Yeah, that's Alexander. I was looking at that. I don't usually put too much stock in seers, but everything else has been a good show, at least so far.
Well, maybe we'll at least get a story or two out of it.
Sounds cool to me. I'd see anything on this list.
Maybe
what
if
do you
he's
think?
legit, he can answer a few questions too.
So what do you think, the seer first or the magician?
Could always flip a coin.
Well, you want to leave it to fate?
Why wouldn't you? Heads or tails? What's heads?
Heads. Heads as we go to the seer, tails we go to the magician.
Alright, I'm gonna say heads is a 2.
As
Tails!
you toss out a golden coin, Pats, you kind of catch it and flip it over to see that there is the small geometric insignia. Tails.
All right.
Fate has
Mission
decided our
approved.
path.
So the magician?
Looks like that's where fate's taking us.
Magician!
Oh boy! Yeah, and N'dari will skip ahead in excitement. Not too far ahead, but she's like skipping a little bit, and then she's like, "Come on, hurry up!"
All right.
You kids are adorable.
As you begin to head through, wading through the different booths and carnies, the different sailors and citizens, you do pass by a small group of women of various races, all dressed in reds and pinks, of scantily clad women with elegant hairdresses, with feathers, or fans. One even has a scarf with what appears to be blades or knives, these dancers or courtesans. Passing by them, you step towards where you see a large sign, a light, with words that seem to almost scatter towards each other. Thurston, the great magician, the wonder show of the universe. As you step forward, wading through the lines, you eventually find your place, another smaller auditorium, but still larger than the first that you had sat in. As the music begins to rise up, you all watch as an individual steps forward. Still the same mist and smoke that had surrounded many of these areas gives the illusion that the place is much larger than it truly is, but quickly your attention is captured by this figure. The color that is emanated from them is vibrant and breaks through even that of the smoke. You see long leather loots laced with lavender, spreading up to purple breeches, a large coat that starts in brilliant midnight blue and extends down into a purple, magenta, red, and ends with vibrant gold filigree. You see the inside is dancing with golden lace and golden chains hang down their side. Across their arms, golden fingers and bracelets stretch up across their purpley skin. A large golden necklace and golden bands extends all the way up their neck to where their purple hair falls across. Two large black horns spiral out of their head, and golden ends meet next to where their ears are. You see a smile. A red diamond is painted across the eye of what you now see to be a tiefling. As they step forward... What was that?
Oh, I just said, oh boy! I'm excited.
As they step forward, their voice rolls out louder, amplified, but crackling with energy around you. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Thurston, the great magician. Welcome to the wonder show of the universe. The very cosmos reach out to you tonight. I plan to mystify and magnify everything that you would seek. And with that, a wave of his hand, or of their hand rather, and you see fire emanate from their fingers and spread across the top of this tent, almost reaching up, looking as if it's to burn through the fabric, but just staying close enough. As this wave of heat passes over you, there's a twist of their hand, and the fire stops, and instead it erupts a single burst of electricity that surges through the tent and hits into a wooden block and causes it there to be a thunderous sound and a sizzle of smoke. There's an ooh and ah from the rest of the crowd as he begins to go through this extravagant ritual. You see the entity, this Thurston, is a master of different illusions, different evocations, abjurations. Everyone watches in wide eyes. He seems to levitate his own head from his body, lifting it up from the golden rings on his neck, and the head begins to float around the center of the room. You see,
I gotta learn that one.
You see as he brings down the magic and seems to bisect his own chest and lift up his chest from his legs. You see the splitting occurs again and his arms extend out apart from the body before it all comes back together. You watch as he manifests serpents, ethereal, magical, before twisting his hands and causing them to appear real at the feet, slithering up towards the edge of the crowd and hissing before with a snap they disappear. Still more, you watch as shadows dance from the smoke and coalesce into figures. As each of you look at them, they seem to be figures familiar to you, almost seeming like a mother, a father, a daughter, a friend, before they disappear back into smoke. Each time, each illusion, each magical apparition, he goes on for 10, 15 minutes with these different types of conjurations, evocations, transmutations. You watch in true wonder as he manifests this magic. Yeah?
The figures that seem familiar to us, is that just something that feels familiar, or is that like seeing somebody that we know kind of thing?
A little bit of both. As these kind of figures had appeared from the smoke, they were amorphous, but felt familiar. But just before they dispersed, you could have sworn that you saw a face of someone familiar. For you, N'dari,
halfway through this presentation, Pat's cast detect magic. Just to see if what he sees.
Yeah.
Like, is this actually funky magic tricks?
As you kind of,
he also likes the colors.
As you kind of watch and observe, kind of confused, you want to know exactly what's going on here, and so you cast a quick detect magic around the room, and you don't detect any magic.
Was the figure my sister?
For you, N'dari, yes it was.
Yeah, N'dari goes from like jumping up and down and super excited to like sitting there, kind of cocking her head and staring at it before it disappears.
And each of you saw similar things. Durizen, your daughter, Pats, you saw Captain Siegfried. Ezra, you saw your master. Each of you seen, even within sometimes the same shape, but these figures that somehow manifested to you as someone you are familiar with.
Maya.
N'dari, what did you see?
My sister.
Huh.
That's not who I saw.
Yeah, I saw my captain, but
I saw Avila.
And I saw my master.
But there's no magic going on here.
What?
Chewed on some chalk during this.
Real? What?
Your chalk's gotta be defective. That's gotta be magic.
No, but it's the magic chalk.
He cut himself in half.
Yeah, but okay, I wasn't detecting magic when he did that, so I don't know. But everything after that, there was no magic.
Guys,
I don't get it.
The show is still going on.
As others kind of begin to shush as you get louder and louder. And turning back to the show, it does continue as he causes a sphere of water to appear and kind of split into different streams, filling different cups that then levitate out towards the people of the front row. Eventually, you see as his hand kind of moves towards the crowd. Please, do we have a volunteer for a quick demonstration? And many hands raise up out of the crowd.
100%.
Kind of stepping.
Oh,
rising.
I'm
Yeah,
like Donkey
Ezra
and
will,
Shrek.
like, almost like Lion King it, like holding, kind of holding N'dari, like
Yes!
this one.
Oh, pick me!
So Ezra, you kind of hold N'dari up, who raises her hand and swings it wildly, and he kind of picks and looks around and kind of picks one from the crowd over to the right, grabs another from the center, and as he looks over towards your direction, seeing you swing N'dari around, he goes and with a slight smile, "Yes, you, my dear." Calling over N'dari, and once again these kind of guards step up. These ones are slightly different. You see these ones look more like sailors, men in kind of sailing garb that kind of slowly
Oh, hello.
step forward
kidding.
and with a hand extend up to you and begin to guide you down.
Really quick before they take me, I'm gonna put my hand out, and Cosmo's gonna crawl out and then go to Ezra, just so he doesn't get hurt.
All right.
Gladly protect my nephew.
And as he kind of steps down, begins to look over each one of you. Well, I have done many things, conjured them from nothing, but now I'd like to show you all something truly magnificent. Please, gather together. As the three of you, you see N'dari, as you kind of step up, you see a rather rotund dwarven male kind of standing next to you, as well as a beautiful human woman on the other side. These three volunteers have so graciously allowed me to experiment upon them. Tell me, have you all ever seen magic occur? Have you ever experienced it before?
Well, I've performed some of the sort.
Oh, indeed, we have a magician among us. His
Nothing
smile,
as extraordinary as yourself, of course.
his smile shines the same brightness almost from the various gold that adorns their outfit. Well, would you like to show us off something before I do my grand finale?
Shouts from the audience. Do you want Cosmo?
Throw him!
Oh God. Good.
Here,
She'll
no,
throw him. I'll do
uh-oh.
it.
Wait, uh-oh.
All right, here he comes. And she'll kind of like, not too hard, but like, hopefully,
Load him in the
accurately
crossbow.
toss Cosmo. Load him in the crossbow. No, she'll just, as gently as she can and accurately toss Cosmo over to N'dari.
Sure, give me an athletics check.
Uh-oh.
Don't that one my hips.
No. You said athletics.
Yep.
Oh no!
So
Can I
you
try
kind
to
of
catch him?
you load up and just kind of yeet this hamster into this tent, and it is way overshot of N'dari as you eyes kind of go wide, as there was just a little bit too much muscle in this, and Cosmo begins to spin through. N'dari, what are you doing?
Can I throw my cloak up and like catch him in it? And have him disappear?
You can certainly try. Go ahead and roll me a dexterity save, we'll say.
Ooh.
As you
Can
kind
I use
of...
my inspiration to have that at advantage, or is that too late?
Sure. No, I'll allow that.
Yeah!
And
I'll
so
take-
just
the
with a...
scoop.
Thank God!
With a jump
have
and a
felt horrible.
turn, you spin up into the air and kind of twirling your cloak. Cosmo disappears within as you land with a spin, and there is just a roar and clapping throughout the crowd, and even this magician in front of you gives a slight nod of his head. Very well done. I must say, perhaps you should join the spot next to me. You have a flair for the dramatic.
You could definitely say that, but I'm nothing without my assistant. And she kind of flings out, kind of shakes her cloak out a couple times to show he's not in there, puts it back on, claps her hands together and she holds her hand out, to which Cosmo flings out and is on her hand looking a little bit stressed.
Well, that is quite magnificent. Another round of applause for Miss, what was your name?
Oh, N'dari.
Miss N'dari, everyone! And the crowd once again cheers, and he goes through asking the other two what their names are before turning. Well, now I have to ask all three of you. Are you willing to expose yourself to magic tonight? You have to free your mind, relax your body, to get the true experience. Can you do that for me? The woman nods. Sorry, what was that?
As long as you don't mind if I hand my assistant back to my friend over there.
Of course. As you return, he sweeps his arm up, the gold of his outfit kind of striking into gold beads, gold rays of magic that is pulled around to his hands, kind of pulled across, and you see the woman suddenly shift and turn, and there is a small hamster there where she once stood before. One hamster replaced for another, and the crowd roars and cheers. And once again, the magic turns and spins as he looks towards the dwarf and pulls, elongating their form and shrinking up his stomach, pulling out his chest. And the woman that was standing before is now in the middle where the dwarf once stood. And a woman to replace the beauty that was lost. And again, there's some laughter and some cheering. He looks over towards you, N'dari. And you caused your hamster to disappear? We'll take you for a ride as well. With a snap of his fingers, gold wraps around you, and you all watch as N'dari herself disappears. He moves back towards the others, and snap, snap, the woman and the hamster also disappear. And there's a large cheering, the crowd going wild. Well, we can't have them gone for too long. And he turns and spins and throws a small orb of golden magic towards the back of the room as it explodes in light, scattering across, illuminating what seems to be some sort of stage that had been hidden in the darkness and the mist behind it. You see standing there N'dari on the center platform, the dwarven man and the woman behind her, and at that the crowd absolutely loses it and everyone begins to stand and clap before the man spins, and in a twisting of gold and purple energy seems to just alight and mix with the mist before he disappears. And everyone continues to cheer as the guards slowly kind of come over towards you, N'dari, and the other two volunteers and escort you back into the crowd. Everyone kind of cheering for you and giving you pats on the back or high fives as you find your way to the rest of them after kind of spinning with jazz hands and spitting out confetti of your own.
Thank you. I gotta add to the show, you know.
Of course, of course. But yes, once again, you all observe as this show does come to a conclusion and you find yourselves back on the streets of the docks, or the docks.
I'm very much gonna go up and shake the magician's hand.
Similar to
I'm leaving this.
Similar to many of the other acts, the magician vanished in magic.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna be really excited, but then I'm gonna be slightly grumpy and be like, man. Well, that was quite fun, wasn't it? And she'll reach back out for
watch. How was it like disappearing without any magic, according to Pat?
What did that feel like? What was that?
Did it feel out of the ordinary or anything, or weird, or was it just...
Roll me an Arcana check.
Woohoo!
N'dari, you aren't intimately familiar with whatever was going on, but there was a lurching feeling in your stomach as you were apparated away. And for a moment you swear that you saw what was akin to a starry night, piercing out into a veil of darkness for but an instant before you were pulled back into the darkness, and your eyes had barely adjusted before the light wrapped around you, and you saw that you were within or standing atop the platform in the tent. But even that very quick moment, you were able to sense the magic that had passed. And you're at least somewhat familiar with a spell known as banishment that removes an individual from this plane of existence for a short amount of time. But as far as you're aware, this spell doesn't move them. And so how you appeared in the back, you're not quite certain.
Well, I'd certainly say it was magic based upon what I know, but... Well, it was a little stomach churning, but not too much to impact the show.
Well,
See,
it
I
sounds
told
like
you,
a fun
Pat, had to
time.
be magic.
Yeah, did Pat see any magic whenever he did the teleportation?
You had your detect magic up, and you never saw any magic happen inside that tent.
Well, he is some kind of super wizard, I guess. I don't know.
Cats, they're called magicians.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also a wizard here. It says his name's Carter.
Wizard, magician, warlock, artificer, they're all the same thing. They magic
Are
stuff.
they?
No. I'm just grumpy. 'Cause I don't understand what's going on.
Well, maybe the seer could help you.
Yeah, maybe the seer.
Get a better
It says
understanding.
The man who knows. See what
He's
he
not
knows.
gonna rat out his own. That ain't how this works.
Hey, he's not a magician.
never
He's
know.
a seer. That's gotta
Yeah,
be
but
different.
he's part of the troupe. He ain't gonna rat out another attraction.
Well, the magician did say, maybe I'll have a job at the end and I can let you know the secrets. And she winks at him.
Alright. You infiltrate. And then you leak the information. That'll go well.
Deal.
Alright, get
She
it done
laughs.
before tomorrow night.
Oh, if we're doing that, figure out where they get the gator meat.
Oh, yeah.
Also deal. She laughs and winks at you as well. She definitely, when she laughs, she kind of holds her stomach and belly laughs.
So you all got one more into you? After that, I think I'm going to bed. It's already too late for me as it is.
Oh, Betty, old man.
Yeah,
And we
can
did
pace
say we wanted to
ourselves.
see the seer.
Still gotta walk back to the tavern.
Well, I'd offer to carry you, but he just looks up at you and then looks down at your feet.
If I finish these bottles, I might take you up on the offer.
Ah,
Oh dear.
do we have our hand card on us?
Nope.
Darn.
Sees the seer, flops on N'dari.
Alright, are we gonna go see Alexander?
Sounds like a plan to me.
One more.
Go see
Aye, aye,
what the
Captain.
man knows.
All right. As you all kind of head towards the direction on the map marked for Alexander, the Crystal Seer, the man who knows, you can't help but have your attention caught by another figure in the crowd. This one sitting upon the wall next to the water as he plays across a small lute next to another few individuals. You see, is in fairly regular traveling clothes. This deep voice billowing out from underneath a large hat with a blue and red plumage sprouting from the top. The woman next to him has a beautiful voice as well, but you are captured by the male figure, as he has no skin, no flesh, but is just bones. as he sings out this melodious tone. You can see his neck, and there is just but the spinal bones that reach down into his clothes. The skull itself lack no eyes, nose. And yet this voice emanates out. A crowd has gathered around to watch. You see a small sign, Boyd, the Singing Bones. But
N'dari stops at her tracks.
okay.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that is definitely nothing Ezra's ever seen.
A singing skeleton? I thought I seen
Look, there's
everything
something
tonight.
even stranger and more crazy than the last thing.
A surprise around every corner.
I didn't know skeletons could sing.
His vocal talent is quite amazing, actually.
And he doesn't even have any vocal cords.
Patrick, you gonna tell me that's not magic too?
My chalk ran out. I don't want to use my last piece of chalk.
Chuck ran out.
It only lasts 10 minutes, okay?
Then let's just
I'm just
go
gonna
enjoy
accept
it.
things for as they are tonight, okay?
I'm just gonna believe everything here is magic till proven otherwise.
Alright, so as you all stop for a moment and enjoy the beautiful voices, eventually the skeletal figure takes off the large hat, and with a wave and a bow to the cheering and applause, he kind of reaches it out as people drop in coins into the hat as it is kind of briefly passed along, and you see him as he steps close to you all, kind of extending out the hat and passing it by in case anyone wants to drop in any coins.
Oh yeah, he gets the silver. You don't see
Yeah,
a
I was
singing
gonna drop a
skeleton every
silver
day.
in. Yeah.
I'll drop 2, and I'll wink at him and
I
be
dropped
like,
silver.
Get down
quite
to a
talented.
nice even 15.
Thank you kindly, dear. He continues to move across the different patrons around as others put coins into the hat. He returns back, and with a spin, he flips the hat back onto his head and begins to play once more as part of the crowd begins to disperse. Are you all happy?
N'dari grabs the strap to her lyre and just smiles at this very interesting musician before. So we're seeing the seer, correct?
Yep, we're gonna go
I
see
didn't
what he
know.
knows.
No worries. It's all good. Easy to
One-woman band.
mix up. But yes, as you all continue weaving your way through the crowd, you hear as the music of Boyd does disperse back into the sounds. And eventually you find a small purple tent with the words, Alexander, the Crystal Seer, the man who knows. And underneath it says, Psychic Fortunes. Wandering your way inside, find a quiet area. The interior is a deep blue with dots of gold and silver that are somewhat akin to the night sky. Celestial bodies. You find yourself waiting in an entryway. There are maybe 3 or 4 other individuals. Each of them kind of pass in one by one, stepping past this dark canvas curtain that separates the waiting area from where you can hear a voice extending off. And eventually the ones in front of you make their way through after waiting for about 5 to 10 minutes for each one. And who would like to enter first?
Well, if y'all are fine with it, I'd like to go in first. See
You
what
do
this
you, big
guy's
guy.
all about.
Go right ahead.
Oh yes, elders first, and she winks at you.
I'll remember that.
Oh boy. She laughs and pats you on the shoulder.
You know,
as high
the
as
wine
she can
bottle's
reach.
getting lighter
But
all the
it's-
time.
Why is he gonna read?
Oh no.
There's
She
a-
laughs.
Durizen, as you kind of enter past this canvas, there are a few layers of it, kind of weaving your way through. You enter the back portion of this tent, where you can see a small wooden table, a few lanterns that dimly light the area. On the table, you see a candle, a crystal ball, and a small deck of cards laced with gold. Seated on the opposite side of the table, you see another individual with dark, bluish skin. A single golden ring rests on a hand that he has outstretched on the table. A cloak of brown with accents of bright blue, and a golden belt can be seen. Scarf or sash hangs loosely around his neck, and a high collar extends from his coat. You see hair hangs down past his cheek, his eyes closed, but once again you do see his two large bluish black horns extend from his head. These ones, rather than curling like the tiefling you had seen before, extend out almost completely horizontal, with just a slight curve in them, but are also adorned with similar golden bits of jewelry on the tip. His eyes are closed as you enter, but his head lifts up towards you. Crystal or card?
Which will help me find what I need.
The head tilts slightly. Crystal or card?
The crystal.
The tiefling nods and shifts slightly, pulling the crystal ball from the place where it resides and spinning it among his fingers. You can see the nails are long, almost like claws. The ball is completely transparent in glass, but as he begins to spin it, you see small motes of silver and blue within begin to expand, almost like small fireworks spinning within the ball. Up until now, his eyes have been closed the entire time, but as the magic begins to writhe, he opens them, and you see they are completely glowing orbs of red energy as he peers into the ball. You may ask 3 questions. What do you wish the weave to tell you, Durizen?
I wish to know where my daughter is.
Your daughter is trapped. The eyes shift from the ball back to you as the magic continues to twist and turn. You can't help but look and focus on the ball, and you seem to see. It almost appears as if your daughter is there within the magic, within the glass. But you still see the reflections of those bright red glow of his eyes. Your daughter, she is trapped behind mist and smoke. The darkness keeps her and binds her.
How can I free her?
Once again, the hands spin across the crystal and move, twisting back and forth. The eyes glinting back and reflecting through the glass towards you. Your path leads towards hers, but there is much to do first. To free her, you must become stronger, forge allies, and defeat the Eye.
The Eye.
see a great eye barring your path.
Of course it would be. Fucking eyes. What can I do to get stronger?
Find the dragons. Soon you will know where the path leads. Finding the dragons will give you the strength, the allies that you will need to find your daughter. The dragons have strength, knowledge buried deep.
Thank you. Durizen will bow.
The tiefling, there's a bright light that shunts out of the orb as the magic suddenly disperses, returning it to a transparent sphere that he sets back onto the table. He nods and closes his eyes once more, the bright red light shutting. As you kind of stand up from the chair, you make your way back through the canvas and find Pats, N'dari, and Ezra still waiting for you.
So how'd it go?
Well, I know Avila's alive.
Well,
but that's
at
about
least
it.
some good news.
Wait, how do you know that he wasn't just saying mumbo jumbo?
Well, I have to believe what I can. Everything else here's been legit so far. Why can't this magic man be legit?
Because he didn't ask for any money.
You know what? That's a good damn point.
Told you, and I just like thank my noggin.
Durizen, are you alright?
I think I'll be fine. Maybe I just need to sleep it off.
One point that I will mention, as it is somewhat relevant to the comment made, you all would have noticed that there was a teller booth outside at the front of the docks that was seemingly collecting an admittance for anyone who wanted to see the fair, that you all had bypassed whenever you were invited to the ship and then rowed back.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
I just thought everything was free.
Not quite.
It's like
free for you
Damn
all.
Zardoz! Zardoz is bribing us, guys.
no, they're just eating our souls a little at a time. That's how the carnival gets by, and they all stay young.
Well, I definitely say that the spider lady ate some of Pat's.
It
know
was
what? I'm
probably
okay with
worth
that.
it, wasn't it?
It was.
Just
Wait,
a little
so-
nibble.
Wait, so are warlocks just like able to get into this place for free then? Like they don't need their soul belongs to someone else.
Oh my gosh.
Good thing none of us are warlocks. Okay.
That you know of.
Sweaty. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, does anyone else want to go find out any of their future? Can you get information that's distressing and not super helpful?
I'm okay with distressing information. I want to go.
All right. So Pat.
Durizen's gonna finish his wine bottle and open another.
And Dari
Same
starts
time for
sweating.
me.
Hurry back! Dari, that floor is looking more and more comfy as things go on.
Oh no.
He flexes her muscles at you. Which I will mind you, I have a -1 strength modifier.
And Durizen's 300
Which-
pounds without armor.
She sure does flex at you, though. There's a big ol' smile with little pointy teeth and... I assume you keep drinking anyway.
Oh yeah.
They sigh. Hannah will have a drink of wine.
And Adam will go get more alcohol.
All right. So Pats, as you kind of step up next, passing beneath the canvas dividers, you see a similar sight. The same tiefling seated behind the table with the candle, the crystal orb, and a small deck of cards. As you enter, it looks towards you, his eyes still closed. Crystal or card?
I'm no good at card games, so let's go crystal. I like crystals.
Once again, he picks up the sphere, and you now see for the first time this magic of silver and blue begin to emanate and disperse through what was once transparent glass. His eyes open, and it's a very chilling sight to see the sudden bright orbs of glowing red pierce into this magical sphere. What do you wish to know?
Wait, sorry. Wait, I can ask anything. Wait, don't answer that. Don't answer that. Hold on. Let me think. What the hell are those bean eggs that I got yesterday? Was that guy telling the truth? Are they actually like nutrition, or did they actually hatch into something?
All items from the earth contain life. Your eggs have a spark within them.
Well, that taught me bupkis. Where is Captain Siegfried and the rest of the crew of the Naughty Alice?
The tiefling spins the orb across his hands, kind of lifting it up as the claw-like nails grasp the glass. Patsy, you're focused on the large red eyes, but suddenly your gaze drifts to the orb itself, and you can almost see a ship. A familiar ship, one that you know as the Naughty Alice. You see it upon the waves, the water. You see it sailing next to a coast. The water is dispersing. Snow gently falling. Somewhere far to the north. As the tiefling looks deep into the glass, he also responds. The ship you seek sails far to the north. Past the sea of undeath, out of the hole into the ocean.
Out of the horn into the ocean?
Out of the horn into the ocean.
That tracks and is very spooky.
The sisters await.
That is terrifying. Why did they leave me behind?
You were not purposefully left. You were impersonated.
What? They just picked up another goblin? They replaced me? Unintentionally? What? Wait, can I get another question?
I have answered your 3 questions. And
Can I come back
with-
tomorrow?
With that, the spinning stops, the magic shunts, and the orb becomes crystal and transparent again. The weave only shows me so much.
Wait, that was the weave? Oh, dang. I should have asked why you gave me that shitty waterskin. Dang it!
He inclines his hand back towards the canvas divider.
Can I come back tomorrow?
You may try.
Worth a shot. I slide him a silver for his troubles. Take it, crazy tiefling.
You slide the coin across the
Oh my
table and
God.
kind of get back up off of the chair and kind of pass back through the canvas divider towards your friends.
Hey, Durizen.
So,
need some
was
of
it
that.
unhelpful and slightly disturbing?
Yep.
Yep, here you go.
Oh, that doesn't make
Durizen
me
will
feel
hand
too
him
good.
the half-empty bottle of wine.
Oh no.
Cheers, I'll drink to that.
Unhelpful and disturbing. I am so excited.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna go in.
All right, you go next.
I'll give you time to think, Lauren. I love you.
Alright. So N'dari, as you are the next one to step through this path, you two come to find the tiefling, the table with the three objects. He extends out a hand to you as you take your seat. Crystal, oh God.
Choose the cards.
He lifts a hand over the deck. From black to purple transition across the back, interlaced with bright shining gold. As he lifts his hand up, the cards themselves begin to lift, hovering, spinning, before they spread out in front of you. N'dari, a wide deck that refracts the light of the candle and the lantern, shining across the backs of them. Choose 3. As you reach down and pull 1, 2, 3 cards from the deck. Go ahead and roll me 3d20.
Separately, I imagine.
You can roll them all together, it'll show me. As you pull these cards forth, keeping them face down, he waves his hand and they slide across the table towards him. The others he pulls, not physically, but hovering back to the deck to rest beside him. With a wave of his hand, the first one flips on its own across, and you see on its surface what appears to be an angelic presence. A woman in armor, her arms outstretched, white hair falling across her face, and eyes, pupilless, glowing with light behind them. Large celestial wings behind her. The High Priestess. You are escaping a destiny. A path that was once yours. A path that could have been. Your past reveals that you have left behind this position of power. You are unaware that you were being groomed, positioned for something beyond yourself. But
Like
this
me.
is the past.
But that makes no sense. It was my sister.
The cards speak what they have to say. I only read. And with a twist of his hand, he takes the next and flips it over.
Right. Sorry, sir.
You're present. You see a man on this card. Geometric designs spread out from curled hair, a large beard across stern features, a blacksmith smock, holding a warhammer and a shield, a heavily muscled individual. Temperance. You now find yourself at peace. A place of relaxation, a time of freedom and enjoyment. You should enjoy such a time as it is fleeting, not lasting for long. This time that you have, it is but a moment, a blink, a flicker. This time of rest will soon come to an end. Enjoy what you have, but ready yourself, for soon comes something else. And with a final turn, he flips the third card over. Your future. You see another woman, this one strong and powerful, tiara hovering above her head, long black hair falls in curls across her neck, her face soft but with glasses upon them. A beautiful purple and red dress, a furred cloak. You see in one hand she lifts up a wand, the other emanates magical runes. The Empress. You will soon meet a ruler, a powerful figure that will come to you asking for aid. It will be up to you how you choose to aid them. What path you take will dictate your future. Change your life, N'dari. You should think carefully about the proposal and what is best for you. And with another
I
sweep
see.
With another sweep of his hands, he gathers all three of the cards and pulls them, placing them back atop the deck. I hope your reading was enlightening.
I suppose. She nods her head, too. And as she goes out to see her friends. I thought you said he asked 3 questions.
Yeah, if you used the globe.
Ah,
What, you did the deck? What was that like? Were they unhelpful and disturbing?
no, more eye-opening, telling me what I did know, and then something intriguing.
So what you're saying is you don't need any of this. I hold out the bottle.
I never said that. She just takes it from your hand, takes a swig, and gives it back.
Well, I guess it's my turn then, and Ezra will kind of take a bit of a nervous sigh and step back behind the canvas.
Alright. Ezra, as you are the last to come through the canvas, you also see a tiefling individual seated behind the table, candlelight reflecting across the 2 objects. Deck of purple and black laced with gold, and the transparent crystal sphere. The voice rings out. Card or crystal?
boy, that's a tough decision. Both Durizen and Pats didn't seem very happy from what they learned from the crystal. Well, you know what? It's been a while since I've played a card game. Let's go with the deck.
Very well. The cards will tell you of your past, present, and future. As he spins his hand over the deck once again, they begin to lift and spin before spreading out in front of you. You see the light of the golden filigree dancing. And if you could go ahead and roll me 3d20 as you begin to pick 3 cards from the deck.
Is that right? Yeah. Woohoo!
As the cards begin to move, he pulls the rest of the deck back towards where it sits. 3 cards place out in front of you. He pulls his hand over the first, and on its own it flips over, revealing an armored woman, eyes glowing, large ethereal wings spreading out from her back, hands extended down. The High Priestess. You were robbed of your past. You were to become a great power, a figure of influence with others, a leader. And yet, your past is mixed. What was and could have been a leader of many was taken, hidden away. You have grown under the shadow of a lie you did not even realize was there. This clouds your present. The hand pulls over the next card, flipping it. You see a darker image. A tiefling on the front of it with a long white hair extending down their back. 2 reddish black horns pull back from their head. White eyes piercing through the darkness. An armored individual with a glowing staff. 2 dragons spinning across the top around a white crystal sphere. The moon. There's a darkness that surrounds you, growing in power and strength. But you are part of the light and will see through it. Break the darkness. Guide those who are trapped within. You will act as a guide for others that need it, others who are lost and cannot find their way. You are a warmth in the night, a kindness, and you should embrace your nature. What will define your future? The 3rd card flips over, and you see a draconic character. Red scales extend from its face, horns on the back of its head. There's a green robe across the figure, who holds a staff magic in the other hand, spectacles across their brow. The magician. Your future is laced with the arcane, magical influences. But rather still, there's another. And there's a bit of confusion on his face. And you see that this entire time his eyes have remained closed, tightly scrunched, and this is the first time he pauses.
What is it?
Your path, there are many influences, interactions with the weave that bind the magic to the core of this world. You will have opportunities to reach into this weave and pull out motes of possibility, fragments of the cosmos. But there is another half to the magician. For once, it was known as the architect. And there are those who are building a great structure around you, elaborate and detailed. You must be careful as you navigate this labyrinth, Ezra, for it may deliver you into the maw of a beast, or into a treasure beyond your imagining. And with that, he spins his hand once more, and the 3 cards fold over and back into the deck.
Ezra takes like a big kind of steadying sigh, and thank you. She thanks him and just kind of quietly gets up and turns right back around out of the canvas, behind the canvas.
And as you head back out, you do see N'dari, Ezra, or N'dari, Pats, and Durizen waiting anxiously for you.
Well, I did not know what to quite make of all that. I think I might have to sleep on it.
Some
That
of
was
this
a
help.
lot of information.
Yeah, and she just, heartily grabs that bottle of wine and takes another big ol' swig.
That was a lot to take in.
So, does anyone want to share their experiences, or do you just want to go home and silently think about what we've discovered today?
Well, it's
I like-
too bad
I
that
like
you
that.
can't. Well, it's too bad you can't speak, little buddy. I bet you would like to know your future.
Cosmo is squeaking in her hands. Oh god, that was terrible.
Sorry, my voice cracked in the middle of that.
I love you.
So are you all headed out of the tent? Is there any other parts of the festival or fair you would like to see, or are you headed back towards the tavern?
I think it's bedtime.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I'm quite tuckered out.
Well, it's just beginning to be the night.
Yeah, and I got stuff I gotta do tomorrow.
I think Pats does too. He has an appointment with that Shop of Monsters guy.
It's too bad. Night's always the easiest for me to roam around.
Well, it's easier when you can see.
That's a fair point.
Now, anyone to help me get back? Like I said, can't see.
I've got you.
Much appreciated. Try not to lean on you too much, but wine bottle's getting real light.
Just try
Oh,
to keep
good.
up, old man.
Well, this could help, and Ezra will speak her little magic word, and her necklace will at least glow around her, and she'll walk next to Durizen.
Actually, that does help. Now I'm not going to trip over myself. He takes another swig of the wine. Still getting light.
You can have some more of that.
Maybe Pats can pour you some water when we get back.
Why? I think we've got plenty of wine to get through the night.
Oh dear.
All right, and as you all begin to follow out next to Ezra's light that leads you back out into the dock district itself, following the docks up past where the ships continue to vibrate with life and music and sound, as the activities are still alive well into this evening. But you all find your way back into the docks, heading back into the city as the lights disperse behind you and the music fades away. You find yourself within the city, and not too far out of the dock district, Durizen, there is little need for you to rely on the small amount of light that Ezra has, as street lights begin to come into view as you are guided and know your way fairly well by this point, but the streetlights of the main roads begin to lead you back towards where you call home. And it's still a bit of a walk as you all take your time moving up the high road. It takes a little over an hour before you are able to finally make your way back to the yawning, or not to the yawning portal, to the to Trollskull Alley and Trollskull Manor, back to the place that you all call home. Finding your way back into the building, is there anything that anyone would like to do before the evening, or are you just going to get a well-deserved rest?
At this point, isn't it like 1 or 2 in the morning?
Yeah, at this point it's about 2 a.m. as you all have been out for quite a few hours at the fair, and then it took a little over an hour to make your way back.
Yep, no, Durizen will clean up, do his nightly rituals, and go to bed.
That's we'll put the wine up and check on the eggs.
Oh, you mean there was wine left over?
Oh, yeah, where are you hiding that?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, me for a second. So, alright, I guess we're all drunk as skunks. Make sure none of the right got into his ingredient. Make sure the eggs are okay. Alright, he has a point. He doesn't know he's suspicious.
The eggs do still seem to be intact and alright. I believe you have 3 of them left, correct?
Correct.
Alright. Just wanted to make sure my numbers are right on that. But yes, all 3 of them you do find, they do still seem to be there and be intact. Is there anything that anyone else is doing before you all head to bed?
Nothing eventful happened on the walk back, right? It was just a long walk back.
It was a very long walk back,
Yeah.
but most of the walk is on main roads and through the nicer
straight
areas.
Oh yeah.
Through the nicer areas of town, and so it is. It was fairly uneventful as far as what you experienced. You saw a few drunks, a few taverns that were alight
Oh, we
with
passed by mirrors?
Yes, as you yourselves, those who have taken a bit of the wine, are starting to feel its effects, and by the time you make it back to the manor, a bed sounds very nice.
Can I go to the den and try to talk to the ghost?
Certainly. You kind of find your way into the den. And... Are you saying anything? Playing anything? How are you trying to communicate?
Hello? I hope you weren't too bored while we were gone.
There doesn't seem to be any immediate response to your words.
We met some very interesting people, and... well, there was a whole festival. I wish you could have been there. There was music, and animals, and magicians, and one very sketchy fellow. But we're home.
There's what almost feels like a chill, but rather than sending a shiver down your spine, It's almost like an autumn breeze. As it blows, you can feel a softness. Not quite a warmth, as it is still cool, but a familiar and almost friendly feeling.
Well, I can't play for you now, as the others are quite drunk and tired, but tomorrow I'll be sure to come and practice. And she'll, smile and then head off to the room to, make sure Ezra's doing okay and it's tucked in.
Aw.
Ezra, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm sleeping.
So
Going to bed.
you come in and see Ezra kind of laying against the pillow, slightly snoring. The sheets kind of scattered. Her shoes are kind of tossed off, and she's half ready for bed. It appears that she is quite exhausted.
I tried.
I'll tuck in the sheets and straighten them out a little to make sure she's covered, and then I'll sit on the bed next to her and meditate, watch over her, as she loudly snores as I attempt to meditate.
And N'dari, as you kind of sit there, kind of meditate, the quietness of the evening coming to you, you hear a slight noise. It almost sounds like a whistle or a rustle of shutters coming, seems like from the den nearby.
She'll be sitting there crisscross applesauce and hear this and kind of look over at Ezra to likely see she's still snoring. And, yeah, I'll go investigate. Stealthily, hopefully.
Alright, you want to roll me a stealth check?
Oh. Do I want to, or...
Oh,
Oh boy. I just keep stepping on the boards and they're creaking.
Yeah,
Apparently.
so you kind of step forward, but as you creep forward, these boards are still old, as nothing has been replaced yet. And each step still, it's not loud, but you hear a slight with each
She
step
just
that you
gives up
take.
and starts walking.
And you eventually do kind of give up and step forward, kind of looking around, and you make it towards the den. And you can hear a slight shudder, and you look out and you see that one of the windows that had previously been kind of boarded up now kind of fluttered, the shutter blowing in the warm wind of spring.
So it was completely boarded up beforehand?
It was.
Are the boards laying on the floor or outside?
Go ahead and roll me a perception or investigation check. As you kind of come up towards the window and begin to look around, you see that there are a few boards that are kind of stacked neatly beside the wall next to the window. And kind of curious, you come up and take a look around, kind of listen, and you hear a board creak, and you turn to look, and you hear a slight burst of air. As your eyes kind of coalesce, you
man.
see a figure standing behind you, a shadow, and it's tough to make out any features as your eyes suddenly start to go woozy. I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Ah, phooey. Am I getting deported?
Oh, hey.
All right. As your muscles struggle and start to tense up, you see this figure, and you see now as they have some sort of tube in front of them that they begin to lower. These eyes, you can catch just a glint of redness to them. As your vision starts to shake and your body starts to tremble slightly, you can still feel this thing affecting you, but you're able to stave off most of it for the moment. Are you doing anything?
I'd like to cast Thunderclap. Can I do that?
Wake up, everybody!
What? Durizen will roll out of bed.
As you kind of move your hand and kind of pull it down, there's no sound that emanates. As you look around, expecting this to have some sort of reaction, your magic was cast. You watched as the lightning-like effect came down your arm, but there was no sound that rang out. It almost seemed to slightly fizzle, but there was nothing. And you look around now, your head throbbing as this entity begins to slowly take another step towards you, and I need you to roll me another Constitution save. It seems that for lack of sound, there wasn't actually any damage, as most of the damage itself comes from the physical concussion that seemed to be lacking. So no, they didn't seem to take any sort of damage. But as you kind of shake free of this effect for a moment and you see them coming forward, you now get a glimpse. You can see darker bluish gray skin around these reddish eyes, dark eyebrows. You see a hood, a mask over their face. They're in some sort of darkened leathers. As you try and catch your feet for a moment, you can feel that there is some sort of poison, this paralysis trying to take over you, but you are fighting it off with everything you can, and you see a small dart still embedded in your chest. You kind of pull it out and drop it to the floor. What would you like to do?
I think... How close is he in comparison to, like, the door? Is he, like, standing between me and the door? Or...
You are right next to the window, and he's about 5 feet away from you. The door is maybe 15 feet off to kind of the side. So he's not in between, but he would definitely kind of be partially blocking your way towards it.
And sound didn't work. Although... my spell still went, so it's not silence. I wouldn't know that. Anyway, should I book it toward the door or should I shoot the bitch? I'm gonna see if I can shoot him first, to see if I can buy time or injure his legs or something so that I can possibly run past.
Certainly. Go ahead and give me an attack roll.
Okay, can I do 2 with a bonus action or
yes,
no?
you may.
Alright, cool. Oh,
Oh, good thing you're doing 2.
Well, I think that 1
Good.
affects my 2. I love how I rolled a nat 1 after the nat 20. That's great.
All right. And yeah, so as you kind of shake off this effect, kind of trying to regain your ground and kind of coughing a little bit, you feel as you have full movement over your arms now, and you kind of pull up your hand crossbows and try and fire them off. The first one you click, and it doesn't seem to launch at all. It seems that there was some sort of malfunction. You kind of put it down, pulling up the other one and taking another shot, but it gave enough of time for this figure to react and kind of spin out of the way. Now off to your side, they now do fully block the door as they kind of stand there now in a more guarded stance, and you see as they do kind of pull out a small dagger from their belt. And you did notice that neither of your crossbows did make any sound. But you can certainly try and go for the door if you would like.
Man, I should have gone for lights. I'm not going down without a fight, though. Is there any other... let's say it's just the window that I could go out, and that's probably a pretty far fall.
Yeah, it's roughly 14, 15 feet.
Oh shoot, I didn't even think about if Cosmo was with me or not either. I'm gonna... can I possibly, I know I used my action, but is it possible that I could run at the door and, like, use that as a distraction to send out Cosmo?
What are you trying? What do you mean?
I want
send out?
him. I don't want him to get caught with me, and I'm hoping that my friends will be able to find him and know that I don't go anywhere without him.
Oh,
To be completely transparent.
go ahead and roll me a deception check.
Ooh. Come on, Cosmo.
Not bad. It's not bad.
All right, so as you
I
kind
love
of
that song.
come forward and try and face off against this dark assailant, kind of rushing towards, trying to look like you're going for the door, you kind of reach back behind you and out of your cape you kind of toss Cosmo down, and he kind of scampers into the shadows quickly, luckily not making a sound. But in response, this entity does kind of reach forward and kind of swing out with a dagger, but you kind of spin out of the way just enough as you kind of fight silently through this room. And go ahead and roll me another Constitution saving throw. All right, you can feel the poison starting to build back up inside of you as your movements get slightly slower. What would you like to do?
Okay, I've sent out Cosmo. How far can this go? My range is 120 feet for dancing lights. It's a 10-foot radius. Are my friends' rooms within 120 feet?
Yes, but does it say you have to be able to see it?
I'm reading it to find out. I'll post it so you can also
Okay.
read it.
Within range.
I don't think you have to.
No, it doesn't look like you do.
I can do up to 4. I would like to put 1 in each room of my friends. Like, right in
Yeah.
their face.
Okay.
If at all possible.
If I can have the...
Oh, wait. A light must be within 20 feet of another light created by this spell. So I'll do 4 lights.
And whoever's
And,
room closest.
yeah, whose rooms are closest to me?
I was just looking at the map.
Ezra's is
Oh.
definitely close. Yeah, we can go ahead and why don't we move to the map for this? Is that
Sorry about that.
No, you're
No,
good.
that's
I had
great.
Combat
Yeah,
map.
that's good.
So I'll
I
have...
was wondering if we could switch to the combat map.
So
No,
yeah,
no
Cosmo's
combat,
run into
just that.
somebody, and I'm gonna start...
Uh,
Actually,
You're in,
I
are
know...
Did you say you were in the den?
Yes. This
Yeah,
is-
actually, I know how drunk my friends are. Which one was the worst off? Was it Durizen?
The Durizen was definitely the worst off.
Then I'll send the lights to Pats and to Ezra.
Okay.
Just because that's probably my best chance at somebody waking up with a light. My guess is Cosmo would go to Ezra, because that's who Cosmo is most familiar with. But Cosmo can do whatever Cosmo wants. And do Cosmo charades.
Well,
Alright.
if you're going to Pat's to Ezra, I think a light would go through Durizen's room anyway.
Boom! There you go. There's probably some holes in the ceiling.
Probably.
Go ahead and roll me a perception check, N'dari.
You gotta make me roll so much. It's average.
Better than average.
Alright.
Oh, +2.
You cast this magic and kind of... Actually, I think that's enough to pick up on that. You see that as you are casting this, you are able to kind of see the movements of your hands still move, and the I don't remember what your focus is, but I know you have one. Your focus kind of conjures the energy, but as you kind of try to speak out, there are no words that seem to come out of your mouth. And the spell itself is not able to get that last piece that fully conjures it. You can see the sparks of magic coming off of your hand, but it doesn't seem like it is able to coalesce into something.
Hit! I forgot Thunderclap is like one of the only spells that doesn't have a vocal component. Ah! Okay. That's
Wait,
my
so just to
action.
clarify, does that mean dancing lights didn't work?
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did not
Oh.
work.
Well, it was a good plan at the time.
It was!
Is there anything else
I-
that you're trying to do?
I can't. Since there is, well, I still have a bonus action. So because I can't say anything out loud, can I, in my head, sing to myself and give myself a bardic inspiration?
Oh my God.
I'm really pulling for strings
I
here.
don't
but
know
then-
if you
Other
can
than
give it-
yourself.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't work for
Ah!
yourself.
Oh.
Can I like
Inspire
mentally
Cosmo.
connect with Cosmo? Yeah.
You know what? Sure.
Yeah!
I'll say you kind of
Into the
see him
hamster!
scampering through the shadows, and you can kind of inspire him, trying to push him to reach out for help to see if he can get to anyone or anything. Try and
Now it's okay, buddy.
and go ahead and roll a d6 for me.
Okay. Oh, jeez.
Okay. Let's see. Oh goodness. Okay, so we have a figure. It's a little hard to see. Is there another one? No, they're all bad. Well, we'll just roll with that. Okay. So as you kind of send Cosmo scampering out into the shadows, this figure moves up once again, kind of brandishing this blade. But instead of kind of swinging out with the sharp end of the blade, he kind of swings out with the back end, trying to crack you upside the head, and you are just quick enough to duck underneath as it swings across the top of you. But as it does kind of come back down, as he spins it, he kind of knocks you on the top of your head as you kind of feel it moving, and you are going to take 7 points of bludgeoning damage.
Oh boy. Okay.
And then
Come
I
on,
need another
Cosmo.
Constitution saving throw.
Come on, con saves. You've been doing me good. Ah, I had to say
Oh.
something.
As this poison begins to surge through your muscles, you can feel it starting to lock you up, and for a moment your muscles stop moving entirely as you try to swing out to move magic to do something to fire, and you are paralyzed for the next turn as you try and move, and you can feel this haze starting to pass over your mind, and the shrouded figure kind of takes a step back, still in a defensive stance, but seeing the poison start to take effect. In the meantime, oh my goodness. In the meantime, Ezra, you are suddenly awoken by this squeaking sound as there is just this fuzziness in your ear, and you kind of twitch and move and kind of turning. You see Cosmo rubbing up against your face and squeaking rapidly.
Oh. Cosmo? What? Where's N'dari? She was just here. And as, like, she kind of watches Cosmo, she sees Cosmo is very distressed, though.
And Cosmo immediately begins to kind of hop off the bed and move towards the stairs down out of the attic.
Yeah, and I figured Ezra's much faster than Cosmo, so she'll scoop him up and, run downstairs and, start... Because I think I'm on the top floor.
Yeah.
So...
And we will get to that in just a moment.
Okay.
So as Cosmo kind of wakes you up, N'dari, you can feel this poison starting to get to you, but you were able to fight it off before. You know you can do this. Go ahead and roll me one more Constitution save.
I believe!
Hey,
Oh,
maybe.
As
Come
the
on.
paralysis begins to fade for a moment, you kind of feel your vision clearing as you see this individual just kind of... You can hear a curse kind of beneath their breath, and they kind of swing out once again with the dagger towards you. But you have at least a moment. What would you like to do?
fire my crossbow again.
All right, go ahead and give me 2 attacks.
Oh my goodness!
Oh.
Hey, at least
As
it's in
you-
the better order this time.
Yeah, you kind of pull out and just instinctively fire. The first one kind of spins off, and the assailant it gets lodged into his armor, but he doesn't seem slowed down at all as his dagger swings out towards you. And in mid-air, you kind of bring up the crossbow, and you forget. You kind of click, and you forgot that it had jammed before. In this moment, the stress is getting to you. But his dagger comes down, and you do just enough to deflect and kind of knock the dagger out of their hand as it kind of spins out into the room. And aggravated, he just swings out at you with a fist. And that will connect. And you are going to take 2 points of bludgeoning damage before he races over to try and pick up the dagger from the floor. Or they. And Ezra, you see the hamsters scrambling across the floor.
Am I still up on the top floor?
Yep, you're still up on the attic.
Okay. She knows something's wrong, so she sure as shit isn't gonna forget her short sword this time. So she's grabbing that, and following Cosmo, or like scooping him up if that gets her quicker to wherever she needs to go.
All right, and what is your speed?
Oh, 40.
40. All right, so let's see. So through the door, down. That's 20 feet, which brings you
Stomp.
to the 3rd floor, which I think is.
I don't know where the stair was.
Right there. Wait, does that spin? Wow, I'm having a tough time figuring out what this is showing right now.
This
Reading my
staircase
map.
right here. This one
I
right here doesn't
think
make
that
sense to me.
is- Yeah,
Which one?
I understand
Oh.
all the other staircases, but this one doesn't make sense.
that
Is that the
has to be one
stairway
to the
to
top.
nowhere?
No, that's the one to the top. So it's a stairway that goes
Oh, so this
down
is
this
going to
way,
the
and
second
then that
floor.
goes to
Oh,
the second
okay.
floor.
Okay.
Okay.
I was super confused as well. Actually, I think it goes the other way. I think it's like.
Yeah.
Around, and then this is to the bottom. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
I
Okay,
understand.
so 20 feet to there, 10 feet, 20 feet. So you are onto the 3rd floor and are right about there.
Okay.
As you kind of race down, and Cosmo,
I,
not
like-
quite as quick, is still hobbling down the stairs.
Oh, am I not pulling him? I was.
Oh, if you want to
gonna
scoop him up, yeah,
if
you
I
can.
could. Yeah, I was scooping him up like so I could move quickly like with Cosmo, but I scooped Cosmo up. Would I be able to like yell at like Durizen to wake him up?
Sure. Durizen, go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Sure.
Oh. All that wine, dude.
It was good. It's good sleep.
Was good.
Yeah, so you kind of call out Ezra, but you don't hear any stirring behind the door as of yet.
Durizen rolls over.
It's the wine was good, and the night, it is well past your bedtime. You are heavily into your sleep at the moment. At least for now. Anything else, Ezra?
I don't think I can do anything else right now. On Ezra, all that's on Ezra's mind is finding N'dari because she knows something is wrong.
All right. And that brings us back to N'dari. You see this shrouded figure as they reach down to grab their dagger and look back up to you. What are you doing? Hannah, can you hear us?
My bad. I muted myself thinking I was muted before. I would like to take 2 shots again and hopefully not get jammed.
You!
All right, give me 2 shots.
Yee! There we go. Yeah.
Okay, as you fire, finally getting through the jam that has taken hold of the crossbow, You fire the first one and they kind of spin out of the way, but the second one, you now kind of catch them in the middle of their spin as it finally releases. And go ahead and roll damage on that second one. You see as this bolt kind of catches them and pierces into their shoulder, and you hear a small... actually, you don't. I lied, because you don't hear anything. But they seem to give a small jolt.
And do I have movement? Can I run? And
Certainly.
by run, I mean move 30 feet? Or am I 30 or 35? 30. Yeah, I want to attempt to run. I mean, I know I'm at a disadvantage, and I'm not going down without a fight, no matter how silly
you will probably still be at have a potential for an attack of opportunity. They're kind of down grabbing their dagger, and so it'll be a disadvantage, but you would still risk one. Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
All right. Then as you begin to move off, you feel a sharp pain kind of ring up against your back as you kind of trot out, and slowly as you begin to move, you just kind of stumble down onto the ground. As you reach the doorway, you feel the blood loss starting to take hold, and your eyes start to slowly fade as you reach unconsciousness, as you're going to take 7 points of damage.
Okay, that's fine.
Ezra.
Yep, I'm running down and getting the shortest path to the den.
All right.
I know that's where N'dari hangs out.
As you run down the stairs, let's see, kind of dashing down now that you're fully awake, 20, 25, dashing through these rooms to try and get to the common room. You are able to move down to the second floor through the hall, and dashing into the common room and through the doors with all of your movement racing through. You get to the edge and you see a cloaked figure holding the limp body of N'dari as they are climbing out of the window. Unfortunately, that was your action and movement to get there. Is there anything else that you're doing?
I'm gonna call out like, "What the hell are you doing?"
All right, and Pat's give me a perception, and Durizen a perception at disadvantage.
All right.
And Durizen, you are now kind of startled awake as this yell calls out. Pats, you kind of hear something, you begin to turn, but you don't quite know what it is. You're kind of looking around, confused, but Durizen, you know you heard Ezra's voice calling out. Is there anything that you're doing, Durizen?
Does she sound distressed?
She does sound distressed, but you most likely do not sleep with your armor on, so keep that in mind.
Oh, no, Durizen absolutely, in an unfamiliar city, absolutely sleeps in his chainmail every night.
You will take exhaustion if you do that, just so you are aware.
Is it exhaustion?
I think it is.
I'm pretty sure you just can't reduce exhaustion.
Let me...
For Xanathars? We can chest later.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. We'll say that you have your chainmail on.
Yeah, chainmail's not awful anyway, on scale.
I'm good with that.
That's the big old dragon.
Yeah, and yeah, here's distress. He grabs his shield and pick, and will move his 30 feet because I would.
So the door is down here.
Yep. Oh, that's the door. Okay.
Yep. So you got to move around, unfortunately. Yep. So you'll get into that kind of reception area. As you kind of grab the sword and immediately begin to kind of trot in, looking around, trying to find Ezra. You know that she's typically upstairs in the attic, but the sounds seem to almost come from below, and so you head towards the lower staircase. And Ezra,
what's happening?
You can kind of hear Durizen's voice calling out, but your focus is entirely on N'dari and this figure, as this figure has N'dari up over their shoulder and is in the process of kind of climbing out the window. And they kind of look back, seeing you, and instead just toss N'dari out the window before jumping out after her. And as you see these two figures disappear off out of the window, Ezra, what would you like to do?
I'm chasing them the hell right out the window.
All right. As you kind of race up towards the window, using most of your movement to get there and kind of climbing up, you see as there are two more figures down on the ground, two of them kind of carrying away N'dari's body, and the one who had just landed kind of looks up, and you see as you kind of reach the window, they have holding something in their hand, and you hear a bang and see a flash as something seems to go off, and that, I believe, is going to hit you. Yes.
Yay. And let me get right up next to the window. Yeah.
And as this shot rings out, Ezra, you kind of look down in horror as there is now a hole in your side as you feel immense throbbing pain, a bleeding, and you kind of collapse next to the side of the window as you're going to take 6 points of piercing damage and 8 points of poison damage as this throbbing just begins to emanate out of your side, and you just lean up against the window, kind of coughing up as you don't really feel comfortable about jumping quite yet, and this
Not
figure
anymore.
begins to race off, and you kind of call out for help, searching for Durizen. And Durizen, you are able to make it down the stairs and kind of now dashing forward past the hall and into the common room. You can kind of hear Ezra calling out, and now Pats, you kind of hearing this alarm and hearing the movement, you also begin to move out into the hall, and it takes you all a moment, but eventually you do reach the den, and you see a bleeding Ezra in the den, kind of holding her side and coughing as she leans up, and she kind of calls down that they have N'dari.
Who?
Do what?
Where?
What?
Durizen's already moving and is out the window.
They jumped out. Yep, they jumped out the window.
Durizen, roll me an athletics check. Or acrobatics
Go,
check, excuse
Durizen,
me.
go! I
Acrobatic?
believe.
Acrobatics.
And 18.
Yeah.
Alright, yep, as that would not be at disadvantage. Okay, as Durizen, you just kind of race towards the window, kind of giving a quick finger at Pats to take care of Ezra. You just dive out the window and kind of roll across the ground. You are going to take 2 points of bludgeoning damage, but it doesn't slow you down much as you get up and look around. Go ahead and make me a perception check.
Alright.
As you look around, you do see one shadowy figure racing along the edge of the alleyway towards the direction, actually, that where Vincent Trench's office is, kind of racing down the alleyway in that direction.
Durizen's going to charge after and call out for the guards. Guards, there's a kidnapping!
As you kind of call out as you race along, it's maybe only a few minutes before quickly there are guards who kind of hear torches that alight and boots that begin to run as you quickly make your way across, racing after this individual. They begin to race atop the streets and kind of pass in through the alleyways, trying to lose you. And I'm going to need an athletics check from you, Durizen.
I can do that, and I would like to use my inspiration to chase after this guy.
All right.
Athletics. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad.
Oh, man. All right. As you begin racing after, trying to find where they are, the streets are empty. There are few and far between the people within. You continue to kind of race forward and not slowing down much. You kind of begin to gain on this individual slightly. They seem about even on you for speed, but your perseverance is kind of pushing you forward after them. Go ahead and make me another athletics check.
And do. God damn it.
Keeping pace with them, they suddenly turn an alleyway as you kind of skid to try and catch the alleyway and race after them. The ground beneath your feet is suddenly slippery. A few puddles from some of the rain recently, and I need you to make me a dexterity saving throw.
Yep, can do.
Unfortunately, your feet begin to slip out from under you and you collide, falling down. Fortunately, you do see a few guards who are coming in, but you see the figure racing past you. You get up to your feet and kind of waving them along, you begin the chase again and give me one last athletics check. Oh my goodness.
Holy Moses! Oh my god!
Racing
on.
after this individual, you run through the alleyway and you see as they climb up some crates and lift themselves up onto the roofs. As you chase after them, you can hear that there are some dogs nearby that seem to be fighting over some food. As they kind of you turn to run over the crates, these dogs kind of spill out into the street in front of you, and I need you to make an acrobatics check as you kind of try to avoid them and hop up onto the crates after him. As you kind of pass your way through, the
My
dogs just begin to tear in, and one of them bites at your heel. You're going to take 1 point of piercing damage, and it holds you up for just a moment, and you eventually climb up to the top of the crates, but as you look, you find that there is no sight of the shadowy figure.
Durizen is just going to scream into the night.
As you let out a scream that echoes into the night, you see the other guards that are coming up nearby, all gathered around looking for you and now calling out for you to give them some sort of update, calling you down from the roof. And eventually you have to find your way down, maneuvering back through the darkness, explaining the situation, but finding a heaviness over your heart. A darkness from what you were not able to prevent, unfortunately. In the meantime, N'dari, your head throbs with pain. Your eyes are blurred, and as you look around, you see you're in a dark room. Place you're not familiar with. A place that doesn't have really any features at all. You look off and even despite your enhanced vision, as you look to the left, to the right, you see only darkness. You're attached to some sort of wooden chair, ropes binding your hands and legs to the wood. Your head hurts, the pain throbs, and you can feel, actually, your back doesn't hurt. You kind of try and reach a hand around and you can't really touch it, but you can feel the ripped fabric where the knife had cut into you. But there's no pain back there. You don't smell blood. You try and look around to get any sort of bearing on where you are, on what's going on. And then you see it. In the darkness, maybe 60 feet away, is another chair. A figure sits there. It's tough to make out features, but you can certainly tell that they are wearing some sort of large hat. It's the only breakup in the silhouette that is easily identifiable. You kind of shake your head again, trying to figure out exactly what is going on here, exactly what this is. They sit there, their leg crossed, one on top of the other, hand kind of held out into the darkness. I figured it was time that we should meet properly. And that's where we're going to end the session for the week.
No!
Oof!
So, for all those tuning in, thank you for listening in, and we'll be back with another episode and the conclusion to N'dari's abduction next week, next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. So please join us then to see how this unfolds. And we'll talk to you then. See you next week.